Hey guys, it's Tammy. Good Sunday morning to you. I'm popping on because I want to use the January Stencil of the Month flower background, the one that has all these pretty flowers, as the background to one of my journal pages. I keep an art journal that has all sorts of stuff in it. And I just was thinking this morning how using that stencil would be a good way for people who don't feel real confident painting flowers to use the stencil just kind of as an outline per se. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna put this down, put you down. Hey, when you pop on, say hi. I'll try to catch some comments, but as always, I'll go back afterwards. So this has, I'm just trying to find a piece of black paper so you can see a little better. Has all sorts of flowers. There's roses, and those could be daisies, or they could be cosmos. You can make them whatever you want. And my art journal isn't that big, but I'm just going to use part of it just to give you an idea of something. So I'm just going to hold it down. I'm going to just use a light color, like probably, I think this is slate gray if I'm not mistaken. So as normal, I'm loading my brush. I'm going to be offloading my brush. And I'm just going to hold this down and just lightly swirl to catch the outlines of all the flowers. And then I'm going to come back and show you a couple different ways that you can fill them in and start playing with some little more hand-painted looks. I love stenciling and love the options it gives us, but it's just a fun way to possibly use this stencil in a different way. Oops. Probably didn't need to be that dark. And if I don't catch every line, that'll be okay too. I haven't done this, so this is experimental on my part. If it works, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. It means we try something different next time. That is half of the fun of being able to come on live with you guys. Oh, I lost my iPad. No wonder. Huh. Give me a sec. Let's see if I can find us. It would be helpful, wouldn't it? Let's see. Finish filling this in. I think that's us. It is. Yay. So what are you guys up to on this Sunday? Ours is a little laid back. We took my husband to the airport last night, so it's just the Rye guy and me today. Well, all week. It's okay. We'll have some fun things planned. He's kind of taking a little bit of a morning snooze right now, so when he's up and going, we will run some errands. It's very cold here. I am in northern Illinois, and last night was a bit of an ice rink everywhere. We were very fortunate to get home from our delivery of Al to the airport before it got really, really icy. Boop, 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 boop. Did I get them all? I think I missed this guy. All right, so this isn't super exciting. This is just kind of doing the outline of it, but it's what we're going to do afterwards. I think you might find fun. I hope you'll find fun. Did I get it in there? Good. Okay. So I just used the stencil to just put on the outline. And I did nothing to the background of this page. If I wanted to, I could, even though my paint is dry, we use very little paint when we are doing any stenciling. Hi, guys. Arizona, that sounds much warmer than Illinois. One of the ways I like to go and fill these in is with this set of watercolors. I don't know if you can see or not, but they have a shimmer to them. They're iridescent. They're not a very expensive set at all. I want to say easily under $10. And I think that's what I'm going to start with today. I might pull up some acrylic colors too. Haven't decided. But it doesn't really matter the brush you use as long as it's something that you are comfortable with. You're going to be thinning these pods, watercolors, down. So let's just do a little green first because that's not going to be hard. So I'm just putting a little water in here just so I can get enough on my brush. But even like with my acrylic painting, I never go directly from a wet paintbrush to my surface. I always go and tap it off onto a paper towel. I can always add more. It's hard to add less. But I'm just going to take that little bit of green and I'm just going to fill in some of my leaves here and there, maybe some of my stems. And go back and add when I need to, blot it on my paper towel. It's very sheer, but it has a little bit of a shimmer to it that's kind of fun. Here and there, some of the stems. I might switch greens, rinse my brush, back with some clean water. Maybe I want a couple little brighter greens. So this is a fun set that is very easy to take with you. Like if you are traveling and you want to have a little bit of art supplies, but you don't want to bring all your paints, a little set of watercolors like this can be really fun. I might mix a little of the colors, more than one green on a leaf. I've got these bigger leaves here. I think I'm going to go in and do a little deeper green, this kind of bluish green. Now, if I was doing this with acrylic paints, I would just be using really small dots of paint, thinning them down, and again, making sure I blot them before I put them on, whether it's canvas, paper, anything, because I don't want them to just run everywhere. I'm just wanting to have this thin application of color. I'll make this one a little darker. I'm just going to have a little fun with it. There's obviously no right or wrong way to do it. I'm going to pick up a different green. Still, I'm just using that little bit of water. See anything comments going on? I'm going to fill in a couple more of these leaves. Now, when you're dealing with watercolor or thinned acrylic paint, you can keep adding layers to get more intense colors, or you can add different colors. But if I wanted, going back to the first color I used on these, if I wanted those just to be darker, I go back to that same color and I can just add a little more, maybe just at the base of it, and pull it up. So it gives it almost a little bit of a shaded look. It doesn't have to be just this flat one-dimension color. Okay. So I'm going to let those be for a bit. I can always pop back. I'm going to use this little guy here as, I want him to be more of a, let's make him kind of an orangey color. So with that, I'm going to start with this orangish color. I'm thinning it down. I'm just using a filbert. This is probably about a 6 or an 8 filbert, but you could easily do this with a round brush too. I'm just going to fill in my petals. Hi, Dottie. See some of you guys popping on. Again, I'm always tapping it onto my paper towel before I go to my paper. And yeah, I'm staying in the lines, but I'm not needing to be super concerned. I'll show you why here in a minute or two. So I've kind of filled that one in. I'm going to go back in with that same color and dab it down. I'm going to pull from the center toward my flower petals. Just give it a little more interest. Okay, then I'm going to come and rinse my brush, and I'm going to fill in that center with, I guess, maybe a yellowish color. My yellows are getting a little muddy here. It's okay. And I'm just kind of tapping that on. It's not showing up very darkly. Darkly? I don't believe that's a color, a word, but we can add it to the Tammyisms. I might want to come back and add some dark to that. I'm not sure. I'm going to treat this one like a daisy, so I'm just going to do its little center again with a little bit of yellow. I'm gonna rinse my brush so it's clear. And I'm gonna go into, this is kind of like this pearlish color. And again, I'm just getting a bit of that paint on there. I'm dabbing it off. You're not gonna see this white on white, but as I'm sitting here, I can see the shimmer. I'm gonna pull this up as soon as I put this in a little bit for you. And there is a bit of a shimmer for that guy. And what I'll do while it's still wet is I'll pick up a little bit of a blue and I'll just pull from the center back toward my petals to give it a little hint of blue. All right, I'm gonna go on to these rosy buds. I did miss a couple leaves here and there, but again, that's okay. So with the rose, that you can see there's lots of little petals. So this is gonna be one where I'm gonna fill it in with a color and then come back and add some deeper colors to kind of give it a little more of that shading. So let's go pink on this one. I'm gonna go this color pink. The watercolor set, I'll put a link in when I'm done here, but it is from Artist Loft, so you may be able to find it at Michael's. I have a link for you from Amazon too. Like I said, they're very inexpensive. They last a really long time. This is probably a year or so old. And it's something that I like to take with me, like when like I'll be traveling to Texas at the end of the month and I don't want to grab a bunch of acrylic paint with me, and I don't even want to bring a bunch of brushes. I can do this with brushes that I can actually have the water in. I'll show you one of those too, just a sec. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a little color here. I'm gonna pick a deeper color, so maybe this one up here. Still dabbing it off on my paper towel, and I'm just going to think about where I would see a little more shading, and I'm just going to put a little bit in. I'm not getting super detailed with this. Just want to have a little bit of dark shading here and there. So it's kind of like where it's going to be underneath. If you do any watercolor, you know that a lot of times your highlights are areas that you leave without any paint on. And I didn't really do that here. Just let it be a little, do a little more of the shading. It just gives it a little more interest instead of it being one-dimensional. Okay. I can come back and add a little more if I want, but you can already see that it's starting to build some values. So we'll go over to this one over here. I'm not even sure which color I want to go with, but I think we're gonna go, I'm gonna go a really, really pale pink on this one. This is a much lighter pink, still dabbing. And again, I'm just gonna lay the color for this rose on here. How many of you guys do traditional watercolor? Do any of you do traditional watercolor? I don't teach a lot of traditional watercolor. I do a lot, or quite a bit, with acrylic, thinned down as watercolor. That's always fun. Like I said, I like the idea of just playing with the pods sometimes. All right, need some deeper color, so I can probably go back to, I don't know if this is gonna be dark enough or not. We'll try. Wherever I think I could use a little shading. Don't think I want it as dark as the other one. And I can see a couple spots I've missed that going to need some green on them. Maybe pick up a little of this too. Hey, Teresa. I finally got all the boxes put away from Christmas. Everything was down, but we just had to rearrange some space. It's kind of like Tetris, to get everything back where it belongs. Oh, there always seems to be a little more each year. Okay, so I've added some color there. I'm gonna rinse my brush. Just gonna pick up a couple of these greens that I missed. Missed that one there. I'll make this a little darker, or a different shade at least. Maybe I'll pick up a little yellow to throw into that one. And these are little rose buds, so I'm gonna just pick up a little color for them. Make a couple spots a little darker. And I'll try to hit a couple of these other little areas that I missed. And they don't have to be real colors. They can be, you can make up colors as you go. You can decide if you are doing real flowers or if you're doing what I like to call fantasy flowers. There's a lot of fantasy flowers in my painting. But this is just one of the techniques, being the watercolorish thing, that is a little different, and so it can let you play and give a different look. And then I'm going to just fill these last little ones in over here with, well, we'll do a bright red petal over here. I'm going to show you how you can add some extra detail to these too. Okay. Oops. Now I can still see most of my stencil lines, and that might be just enough. Especially, like I said, if I was doing this as just as an outline. But you do have a way to add some more. I'll go dark blue over here. Oops. Yeah, we do. I mean, I guess the watercolors I do tend to think of a little more in the summer, but we also, you know, it's fun to do them in winter scenes. But it's where, oh, one more. I missed a rose, and I missed these little greens. Let's go with this little bright green color here. And I'm just gonna set my brush down and pull. And we have a rose we missed. Well, let's not make it pink because all the other ones are pink, so we'll go with a yellow rose of Texas. I always think of Texas when I think of yellow roses. I don't know why. Making sure I'm tapping down first. Okay, so once I have my colors in, and I'm happy with what I've shaded with, you don't have to always shade on them. You know, sometimes it's good just to have just the color. It's fine to throw hints of other colors here and there. Even though this is a pink rose, I can pull in a little bit of orange and a little kind of tint it here and there. I'm not sure what these were, but they're going to have just a touch of color in them. Because I want to show you one of the ways you can give more detail to these is to use something like a Micron pen. These are really important that you look that they're not only permanent, but they are waterproof as well. And they come in different tip sizes. So an 005, let me just grab a piece of paper that I can show you to this on, if I have one. Sure I do. An 005 is about like that for a line, where a 3 is thicker. So that the bigger the number, the thicker it is. So I'm going to start with, this is just a 1. And like I said, you could leave them just as they are, though you can still see quite a bit of detailing. But if you wanted to add more detail to them, I hope you can see some of that shimmer, you would want to make sure this is dry, not at all wet, okay? And then you would come and you would add any kind of extra lines or details to just make your flower stand out a little more. It might mean outlining it, it might mean pulling some lines from your center into your petal for petal marks. I'm just going to outline this one relatively quickly. And you can use different pen sizes, widths, whatever you want to call them, points, on the same flower. It might mean you're using something like a 1 or a 3 to outline. This is the one I might want to, if I want my outlining to show up a little more, I could do something a little bigger. I can use any of these in my center and I can just add dots for some different texture or shading. Maybe I'm shading so I can see where the petals separate. You can get as carried away as you want, actually. But that one has a little more going on than, say, these little petals here. Here was one of those little rosebuds that I might decide to really accentuate the shape of it and let this be an extra little petal part showing. Don't have to outline everything. I might just want to hit and miss outline some of these places. I like to use the little dot dash idea that I can create a little bit of shading. It doesn't have to be all straight lines. It can be a little jaggedy to give a little more interest. When you have little ones like this that don't have a lot of color, you might just decide to, follow it up, and maybe you're going to extend it and give it a little curly Q. Maybe you're going to add a couple little dots all the way, or circles all the way up before you outline the shape that was there. All sorts of things. Within a leaf, I like to keep it jagged. Here is the center line that was I stenciled in. Now I can pull in some extra veins. And then I can come back and I can add a couple little dots next to the flower so it looks like it's a little more behind there. Like I said, this can get as carried away as you want it, or you can keep it very simple and just add the color. I know I want to pull in the word that I've kind of decided to focus on for 2022. And for me, that word is going to be peace. And I loved the explanation that I had seen on that, I think right in the first of the year, that peace doesn't mean that there's no drama or that everything's all hunky-dory. It's more of that state of mind that even when those things are going on, that we are able to find that centering, that peace that can make our life a little more tolerable, a little more still. And for me, that sounds lovely. So this one I'm just going to go around this little circle and fill it in with little circles because I didn't put any color in there. So this is a stencil from Essential Stencil, and it's really a nice way if you're not feeling very confident about drawing petal flowers or the shape of roses, that you can use those and then come and still have the ability to give it a watercolor look, or you could even fill this in with regular paints as well. So I'm just kind of picking, I'm not doing all the lines of my rose. I'm going to pick some and I'm going to put a few little dots just so you can see that just by adding that little bit of color first, it has just more interest. I mean, I think there's a better word, but I'm not sure what it is on this Sunday morning that I'm not functioning as well as I should be. You realize how spoiled you are when your husband goes away and you realize that he does all the bathing and such. And Ryan's a trip in the morning. He's fun, but showering is always an adventure. So I'm adding a few more of these little lines in here, just to give this flower a little more interest. And then I'm going to go ahead and find a way to add the word that I want to. I want you to notice too that even though I'm outlining this and I'm pulling some, this pen is black, but it's not harsh. It's not really strong. It's just it's just giving it a little more definition, and I don't have to hit everything. I am going to give some little dots over my little flower here. I'm going to pull a little down here. And it's something you get to play with and have fun with. And you could, fill in your colors when you're sitting in your studio and take it with you when you're the passenger on a drive, and just sit there with your pen and give some more detail. You can change shapes a little bit with that pen if you wanted your leaf to be a little more pointy. And again, these are the little ones. You certainly could use other types of pens too. You could use like this is a Pigma pen. Posca pens are more of a straight paint pen, and they do come in different tips as well. This is just kind of really the ones I like to use for outlining, but always there's more options than just the ones you see from me. I just want to give you some thoughts. And today's was really just about being able to use your stencil again in a different way. This is from the January Stencil of the Month. Now, Stencil of the Month Club is a monthly membership. You can skip anytime, you can cancel anytime. And if you want to give it a try, just use Cheers, our code CHEERS, and you get 50% off your first month of the stencil pack. So that's kind of fun to try. And this one was fun because it had this background. It had a little bit of a quilty, boho-y background, and then it had all the great phrases. Do I have those with me? Oops, sorry, babes. This was some of them. I've got this backwards. The best is yet to come. Live by the sun, love by the moon. We all shine on. So those are just all inspirational, all very good. So I'm pleased enough with what's kind of going on here. I've got a couple that I can tell were supposed to be something and I didn't do anything, so I'm just going to add a couple little doodads. Doodads, that's a technical term. And again, I didn't ink everything. I just inked what I wanted to. And then I said I wanted to use this just kind of as a fun background for the word peace. And I don't need it to be super big. So I'm actually just going to find a stencil. This is from that angel set I've done several things on. And there's one stencil in here that says Peace on Earth. And I think that size piece will be good for what I want. Yeah. I don't want it, I just want it just to be somewhere. I'm not sure where. And it doesn't really matter. And see, none of my colors are super dark, so I can, let's go right about there. And I could tape this down and do all that fun stuff. I think I want it to have a little bit of a shimmer to it. I'm going to show you something really quick. Wasn't planning on this, but I've been playing with one of the products that I got from DecoArt. So this is going to, and the product is called, whoops, that's not it. The product is called Glitter Base Coat. Let me show you this. So this is Glamour Dust, this blue Glamour Dust. And this is one coat and this is two coats. Now this is on black. Now this is me mixing the glitter base coat with a blue, which is about the same color, and letting it dry, and then going back and putting the glitter on top of it. You see how much more glittery that got? And I did the same thing with the Galaxy glitter. First, I put a coat on, and the Galaxy glitter is a little different because it's really chunky. But then I went ahead and base coated with the glitter base coat and the blue. You mix it 50-50, and you let it dry, and then you come back and add your glitter on top of it. So I think what I'm going to do is grab a little glitter base coat. Let's see if this will work. I've not tried doing this with stenciling, so hey, experiment with me. So I've mixed these two 50-50, or about 50-50. I'm just going to grab a sponge. I'm going to mix these two up. So I've got the glitter base coat and the color. It's a little gritty, but that's what helps your glitter stick better. So I've put it on here. I've got to take it off because I'm stenciling. I always have to offload if I'm stenciling. I'm just going to hold this down about there. Looks pretty good. And I'm hoping because I'm doing this like stenciling that it'll dry pretty quickly. I'm going to need a little more. I'm going to have to offload. But again, I'm experimenting, so hey, if it works, great. I'm so glad that my nail tech doesn't watch all my lives. Or as she always tells me, they're just nails. She can fix nails. All right, so I've got this coat on here. I want to give it just a second to dry. I could grab my blow dryer, but I'm not going to. And because it's got that glitter base coat in it, if I lift it up, I can't really see glitter, but I can see a texture. We're just going to let that dry just a second. And then I'm going to go back over it. I'm going to just go back over it with the Glamour Dust. I think. Well, we'll try that first. So pick up a little Glamour Dust. Always, always, always make sure when you're working with any of the glitter products that you're shaking them up really well. And let me go ahead and use that same sponge. Offload. I'm offloading a little more. We have to keep it dry or we chance it bleeding underneath. I think what I will do is go with this, take that off. So I do have a really nice shimmer for the piece. Let me turn you guys right side up, I'm sorry. Oops, and then this way. Okay, so there's that way. With the flowers, it didn't matter. Okay, and so it's got a really nice, I mean, it looks, even though this was done on black, you can say, you can really pick up the extra shimmer. If I wanted to, and maybe I do, I could just go back over it with a tiny bit of the Galaxy as well. And I'm just going to use a brush for that. I'm just going to pick it up, and I'm just going to add a little extra. Probably should be using a round brush for this. I've had a chance to play with several of the new products, or different products for me. I'm not saying they're new to deco art. I'm just saying that they're new to some of the things I've been trying. And I do like the glitter base coat quite a bit. I'm starting to think of all sorts of things to do with it. I wanted to play with it with some dragon wings. Tammy doesn't do dragons. Tammy does dragonflies. And I don't know. But it has possibilities. We'll just say that. And then I did find another product that I really do like a lot. I'm going to show you, if I can show you a little bit of how that looks. Let me just finish this. A little bit E. just to give it a little more extra pop. So sometimes my journal pages are detailed, sometimes they're very simple. This one was pretty simple, but it's pretty impressive too. But I like the background. I like that I have a little bit of that shimmer from the watercolor set I was using, which again is this set, and it is from Artist Loft. And I will put a link in when I'm done here. I want to show you a couple of things. So it was me again playing with the glitter stuff. But this right here, the bottom wings here, is actually from Enchanted Iridescent Top Coat. So it's really designed to be a top coat, so you put it on afterwards. But I just really loved what it did on black. It just has this really, really pretty shimmer glimmer to it. And when it dried, you still see the shimmer, but you saw quite a bit of that green pop through. So those were just a couple things I've been playing with that I really have liked. I will also tell you I was playing with their writer, which they call a writer. And the idea of it is you actually screw it on to your paint. I think it has purpose. I don't think it is fine enough for me to be doing fine detail work like I will be doing with my dragonflies. But hey, so you're a little bit of a quick product review there. So definitely would give try to the glitter base coat. I think it has a lot of fun, and I love the Enchanted. I've used the white or clear before, and I can see me starting to play with the other ones. So I hope that gives you just another idea of a way to use an essential stencil. And again, this was the January background, but you could do this with a lot of the other stencils too, and just knowing that you're just going to use the outline and then you're going to fill it in with color, whether it be the watercolors we used or thinning down your paints. So let me grab this just real super quick. Yeah, I look like a hot mess on this Sunday morning. Good to see you guys popping on, and the extra pizzazz. Yes, it did have a little bit of extra pizzazz, didn't it? And I've got all sorts of stuff I'm working on for later, and this week will be back to normal. Although last week was, the first full week of January. I just didn't quite feel like I was completely back together. I think we were finishing up this part of the studio, and I've been working really hard on my calendar. So, but that was it. So I hope you enjoyed. This was, again, the Essential Stencil of the month for January. You can still order that. And if you use Cheers, you will get 50% off your first month. And you can always use Cheers on your Essential Stencil orders anyhow and save 10%. That's it. I'll go back in just a second here and add you a link to those watercolors and the pens as well, okay? Have a great Sunday, and until I see you again, please, please, please be kind, be safe. Cheers. Bye-bye.